Today is March 30th, 2023, and this is Conversations from Stritch. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm David Livingston, president of Lewis University, and I'm joined by our provost, Dr. Christopher Sent. Just a couple things as we begin. This week has been another great week on the campus. Yesterday was our day of giving. We had a really great day. We had a goal of raising $100,000 yesterday. We ended up actually, I just heard before we started about $118,000. I want to thank everyone who helped out, the entire advancement team. The cheerleaders were there cheering. We'll talk about them a little later as well. Faculty, staff, and students all stopped by Stritch Hall and were able to get cookies and pizza and gummies and all sorts of things. I want to thank John Carey and John Kilpatrick for helping us out. We had music and live streaming of some of the festivities. It was really a great day. And I want to say what's really great about it is when we do this event, what we ask the community, the advancement team goes out to the community and says, what's something in the kind of, usually $2,500 to $10,000 range that you feel like you would love to have some extra money for and you feel like maybe your alumni in your area would be willing to support. And what we saw yesterday, again, is that we exceeded our goal, which supports a range of different activities across campus and student concerns and desires. The second thing I want to talk about is yesterday we also had the recognition of student excellence in mission. We honored a group of students yesterday who do their just amazing work in continuing our mission here at Lewis. Dominic Bartels, Aisha Khan, Alexandria Wilson, and Michael Yerkes all received a De La Salle medallion in excellence in mission. Nicole Mankey was honored as being the Newman Civic Fellow. And then we also announced that Tyler Samaras will be the LaSallian Student Commencement Speaker this May. We had talked a couple weeks ago about Rome, but Tyler's actually over in Rome as our first student who's going to Rome, but also as an RA in Rome. So I guess I just want to say to the students, you may want to consider applying to be the RA to go to Rome if you have a lot of these leadership skills and you've been an RA before, because you can spend a semester in Rome and still be an RA. So it's a great opportunity. So Chris, in addition to these events, we have a lot of exciting things going on with faculty.
A lot going on, and I just want to say I really enjoyed both of those events yesterday. It was really, I don't know if we'll ever do this again because it was sort of a coincidence that we ended up hosting the Day of Giving in our building in Stritch Hall, but it was super fun to have a party going on in our building all day long and seeing so many students especially come and visit throughout the day.
Well, and I will say on top of that, so the students came to visit. I made a joke yesterday when we were there that I thought it was going to be harder to raise $100,000 than to get rid of the 500 donuts they ordered.
Gosh, yes.
But all the donuts disappeared by the end of the night. So I think many of them went to residence halls.
Accusing me of something?
I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying that I think our students benefited. Because there were probably, when we got to the end of that, there were probably still, 100 donuts and 5 or 7 pizzas. And I think they all got distributed among the students in different parts of campus, which is awesome.
It was so wonderful. So many people in the advancement staff as well as other people from the community going out and finding students and saying, there's a party going on in Stritch Hall. It was great. Yeah. And of course, I was very impressed with the students who were honored yesterday at the recognition of student excellence in mission event. It was really beautiful. So a couple pieces of news. Congratulations to Dr. Mike McFerrin, Chair and Professor of Music, who was elected as the 4-year private delegate for the Association of Illinois Music Schools, also known as AIMS. AIMS meets throughout the academic year to discuss issues related to music in higher education and works to advance the cause of music in higher education and the quality and program of the music education system in Illinois by fostering cooperation between all colleges and universities through the exercise of educational leadership. So wonderful, not only about how music works in universities, but also how music works in the whole complete education system throughout the state. It's a great honor and also just such a wonderful contribution in service to the state and to into music and bringing music to people's lives in so many different ways, and really appreciate that. Congratulations to Dr. Pamela Taylor, Professor and Chair of Graduate Nursing, who recently had her research published in the Journal of Nursing Education in an article called Exploring the Effectiveness of Telehealth Simulation in a Standardized Patient Scenario, along with her co-author, Catherine Coulter of Northern Illinois University. Doctors Mallory Havens, this is sort of like cross-programming for something.
Yeah,
Doctors Mallory Havens, Associate Professor of Biology, and Christopher White, Dean of the College of Aviation Science and Technology, recently launched Science Coast podcast that focuses on science. The biologists and physicists talk and offer their perspective on science and the study of it with a few personal comments. It's available on the Lewis University YouTube channel where you find this show, and produced in the WLRA podcast studios here at Lewis University in Romeoville.
Have you listened to it?
I have listened to it. It's great.
I have not. I need to listen to it.
It's
I've heard
really
about it a
good.
couple times.
They're very charismatic. They're really casual and fun, and they make it.
Make science fun.
The time goes by super fast, and
That's great.
And they talk about big issues, like the last one was about faith and
Yeah.
facts and all the things
Yeah.
that you would imagine you would talk about when you talk about science in the world.
I got to catch up on my podcast. I'm behind on my podcast, but I will catch up.
And they have visitors, and
Excellent.
it's quite impressive. And another impressive thing is that the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers International is hosting its Electro Information Technology Conference this year at Lewis University. So that the acronym for that is IEEE, or IEEE, I believe. IEEE will be on campus on May 18th through 20th. It's the largest association of technical professionals in the world and publishes pioneering research and advances in electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications, computer engineering, computer science, and other similar disciplines. So the conference is focused on basic applied research results in electrical and computer engineering as they relate to information technology and related applications. And this is my favorite part. There'll be exhibits where the latest electro-information technology tools and products will be showcased. And I know that you will be there.
I would.
Enjoying
It sounds
that more than me, probably.
very interesting.
The conference also will hold a student poster contest for students to present their research work and projects and network with industry professionals. So thanks to Professor Dr. Gina Martinez, who is co-chairing the conference this year and is an officer in IEEE. Will County, and then finally, we have one more topic to talk about before going to the calendar, which is that we have announced just about a week ago that Will County has officially launched the program called Will County Heroes, which is a scholarship program to support students seeking careers in teaching and nursing. The county is investing $10 million in American Rescue Plan, ARPA, dollars to increase recruitment in these high-demand fields and incentivize future graduates to work in Will County. So Will County has allocated $2.5 million to each higher education partner, that includes us, in the county to implement the scholarship grant. So those universities in our county are Governor State, Joliet Junior College, the University of St. Francis, and Lewis. Eligible students at each institution can receive $2,500 per semester or $5,000 an academic year to support the pursuit of a teaching or nursing degree. So a key goal of this funding or these scholarship programs is to incentivize teaching and nursing graduates to grow their careers in this local community. The program will aim to create an active pipeline to employers throughout the county after they graduate, and the partners will support students as they grow their careers after graduation, connecting them with a working environment that will foster positive career development. It aims to address shortages in teaching and nursing profession, which were exacerbated by COVID-19, and eligible students include those pursuing teacher certification for elementary education, special education, and secondary education, along with students interested in becoming a registered nurse, either through a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, like the one we offer here, or an associate's degree in nursing that you might get at Joliet Junior College. students can apply for these scholarships at their own university. So if you're interested in this and thinking about applying to Lewis as a education or nursing student, you can just contact our admissions office, and they know all about it and can help you through that. So that's a lot. And so a typical partner, I didn't really say that very clearly, would be a school district or a hospital or another health center that would partner with us for employment for people going through the program and receiving those scholarships. So Dr. Livingston, I know you were instrumental in the overall allocation in the county for this $10 million, as well as the way that it's distributed throughout the different universities and colleges in the county. So I'm just wondering if you want to reflect a little bit on.
And I guess thanks for bringing it up. I think it's so important to, I think, thinking about COVID relief in general. I think there's a lot of people who are still, the country as a whole spent, trillions of dollars actually trying to respond to COVID. Will County, and I want to say a special thanks to Jennifer Bertino-Tarrant, who's the county executive, also a proud Lewis alumna. So we're glad to have her in that role. But the entire then, all the county officials, because the county board voted to approve this, Jennifer had to approve it, so those two came together. And I think when you think about it, the county, they ended up receiving about $90 million from the federal government to do all sorts of things. What's amazing to me in terms of the insight, and the four presidents, Arvid Johnson at St. Francis, Cheryl Green down at Governor State, Klein Demuo, JJC, we all got together and they came to us and said, what's going on? How could we help workforce shortages, and how can the universities get involved? And so this is built on kind of a MAP kind of program. Not everybody knows the Monetary Award Program, but in the state of Illinois, low-income students can apply and receive a grant that can go to any university in the state of Illinois. So the nice thing about it is a MAP grant could go to Lewis, but it could go to JJC, or somebody could go to JJC for 2 years and transfer to Lewis. They could go to U of I. We try to build it on a Will County model. So saying the two greatest need areas are educators and nurses. One of the challenges for many students is affordability in terms of tuition. So how do we do that? Well, if we can take this extra $5,000 for a low-income student, they can actually get MAP money, they can get Pell money, and now they can get a Will County Heroes Grant, and then they can go on and serve in one of our hospitals or one of our schools after they graduate. So that's the basic idea, and I just think it's, again, really grateful to the county executive and the county board for, really giving back to the county in this way. I think it's really significant.
Well, thank you. It's really an amazing program, and we were just talking about education last week, about teachers last week, and I love the title of the grant as well, because over these last 4 or 5 years, the teachers and nurses are absolute heroes in our community. So I'm so glad that this is happening.
Yeah.
So you have we have some events.
A couple other events.
Announce.
Yeah, there's an event slide that'll go up at some point. But let me just talk through the events that are going on campus in the next, basically in the next week. So tonight, always a big game. Men's volleyball is hosting Ohio State. It was, I got to say, it's been 7 years, and it's still amazing to me that we host Ohio State on our campus, and that we have beat them in our own gym before. Tonight will be a real, I would say it's going to be a challenge. We lost to them. We played them at Ohio State. We have a young team. We've had some injuries. I don't want to try to undermine anything, but come out and support the Flyers. I think we have a good chance of beating them because it's in our place. And we have had a couple people, get past their injuries. And we have some of our first-year students, true freshmen on the team that are really have had some great experience, and they're getting better and better every week that I watch them. We talked about last week, we had that President's Circle event, and we won 3-1 in that last weekend, men's volleyball. Harold White is having an aviation pre-flight practice. This is an amazing event from my point of view. So this is April 1st from 8 to 11. I think many people have been notified, so families know about this, but if you know anybody who has special needs, a young person who has special needs, our occupational therapy program and our aviation department have worked together to identify families, young people, who might need help learning how to board a plane. So you can imagine students with special needs, young people with special needs, who maybe go on their first flight ever and are, how do you get on a plane? How do you get off a plane? The ramps, the getting into a seat. It's a small space for some people. So I think this is just really awesome, and I think a community service that we're doing. We also have April 1st, this weekend, softball will be hosting Quincy. That's at noon. Tennis is hosting Illinois Springfield. That's at 1 here. And then also on April 1st at 5 p.m. at night, men's volleyball will be hosting Ball State. So a lot of stuff this weekend. On the 3rd, Monday, in the backyard here on campus, we have a new club on campus, the Lewis Dance Social Club. And the Latin Dance Social Club is going to be hosting an event in the backyard on Monday evening at 6 p.m. This is interesting. My daughter, when she went down and she was in the Peace Corps in South America, one of the things she wanted to do is learn salsa. So she spent about a year, and she's a really amazing salsa dancer now. And when we went down to visit her, she wanted us to do a class. It's totally embarrassing because I am not a good salsa dancer, to say the least.
Now you have an opportunity.
Now I have another opportunity to learn salsa again. April 3rd, that same evening, we also, over in Neil Carey, will have the Lewis University cheerleading squad is going to basically show off their program that they're going to take on the national stage. They're going to be going and beginning to compete on the national stage, and so they're going to do their rehearsed set program that they will be doing when they compete for the Lewis community, and that's at 7 o'clock in Neil Carey on the 3rd. So some really exciting stuff.
Very exciting.
As you and I talk about almost every time this time of year, and our guest is related to this, is you get down to that kind of 5-6 weeks left, and everything ramps up, and every night, I think you could be at 2 events, I could be at 2 events, and we wouldn't even be at the same 2 events. So as you see, there's just a ton of stuff going on. And the beauty of it all is we're really honoring the amazing work that our faculty and staff colleagues, and especially our students, have done over the last year, and really kind of acknowledging the amazing work that this university produces in terms of its students. So, our guest.
So one of those events, this is a great Lewis hallmark, is the celebration of scholarship. So we have, that is, celebration of scholarship is, I just want to think through the calendar a little bit. We are moving into Easter next week. So we are going to kind of taper down those events for a few days, and then we'll come back. And immediately when we return, we'll have celebration of scholarship on that Thursday, 2 weeks from today. So everyone needs to start getting ready now. And so our guest is in honor of that, which is also an annual tradition now, to try to talk a little bit about it before it happens and get people ready. So I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Marie Meyer, who is an assistant professor of mathematics and co-director of Celebration of Scholarship, and part of the engineering and computer and mathematics science department. Did I get that right? I haven't said that. I haven't said all those words in a long time. She earned her PhD from the University of Kentucky studying algebraic combinatorics, which she continues at Lewis, and also studies the impact of active learning in general education math courses as part of her scholarship of teaching and learning research, and we've announced several great accomplishments that she's done on this show. So welcome.
Thank you.
Wonderful to have you here.
Thank you
Marie,
for having
we really
me.
appreciate it.
And before we launch into questions, I just want to remind people that the askus@lewisu.edu email address is there on the bottom of the screen. And if you have any questions about Celebration of Scholarship or for Marie in general, please write those in, and we will get them onto the show. So, welcome again, but a lot of people watch the show from different backgrounds and different contexts. So could you just tell us a little bit about what Celebration of Scholarship is?
Certainly. So Celebration of Scholarship is an annual event that's put on by Lewis University, and the purpose is to showcase all of the work that Lewis University students do on campus. And so I like to think of it a day where you go to Lewis and you have the opportunity to see scholarly projects from all different disciplines across the university, both at the undergraduate and graduate level. So I think of it as a conference that's for all disciplines, essentially.
And so could you, I want to get into because we have, as Chris said, different people watching. So maybe I'll break that question up and ask for a little more detail on the who and the what. So the who is presenting?
Right.
Students, but maybe you talk a little bit about part of this is also the students who are presenting already know that they're presenting. But if I'm a student who's not involved this year, how does a student become a presenter? So that's part of the who. And then who else shows up? Because when I walk the halls, it's a lot of their friends, right? It's not, you should come even if you're not presenting, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And faculty who aren't either, and that's another thing I'd like to have you talk about, because there's another who in this, which is there are judges, evaluators. There are people who, like you, who just make sure it all happens.
Right.
And then there's faculty who aren't involved directly. That is, they don't have a student who's doing a presentation. They're not an evaluator, but they can also come and just be. So could you talk a little bit about that whole scope of the who?
Yes, I will do that, because we do this to benefit all of those groups of people that you just mentioned. So for students, we like to showcase work that might not already be showcased. So a lot of students have a capstone project for their major that they have a chance to show off. Some students do an independent project that they don't have a place to tell people about, so they also can show that off. And I would say that all students should come to Celebration of Scholarship because it's a great opportunity to see what's out there. What are your peers doing in the same majors that you have, right? What types of projects are they working on? Which faculty members are they working with? And it is supposed to inspire them to want to get involved and seek out ways of their own to go after some of these scholarly works. We do it every year because scholarship is a really big importance for any sort of student, university level student, right? We like to think in the major and all the courses, they learn all the tools and the skills of their disciplines, but doing an overly or scholarly project, so a culminating experience, gives them the opportunity to actually apply all of those tools and approaches to produce their own work. And I think that's a really important part of the education, and Celebration of Scholarship likes to showcase that.
So could you also say, because now I want to just take these students who are not presenting, who are not involved, but want to support their friends. So let me ask the where. So, because we do have students literally who come onto campus and they're a nursing student and they basically drive to South Hall, they go into that building, maybe they go over and get lunch in Gaffney, and then they have a couple classes that might be in Benilde or in De La Salle, and they maybe don't for a whole semester go up to the north part of campus, so to speak. So where is this presentation happening, and maybe throughout the day? So if I'm a student, I should go somewhere if I want to feel the buzz, because there's a real buzz on Thursday.
With that question, is it maybe good to look at the schedule?
Let's go.
If we could show the schedule a little bit, and Marie could talk about it.
So you should come to campus on Thursday, April 13th. The event kicks off at 11 a.m. and we're actually having, I think, 4 different locations of events happening. So our first session is in the Black Box Theater, which is the studio gallery, where the same building as Philip Lynch Theater. We're starting with the 3MT competition, which is a 3-minute thesis competition where graduate students present their work in 180 seconds or less to a room full of people that not necessarily are familiar with their background. So we're starting the event off with that. And then after that event, notice at any given time, there are multiple events happening simultaneously. So that means you can pick and choose what you want to see. So the studio theater all day, we've got the STEM Slam, we've got later on the Creative Works at 3:30 to 4:30 in the gallery talk. The concurrent sessions are 15-minute talks by student presenters, and those take place in the Academic Science Building. So you can see we have 4 sessions of those starting at noon, going all the way to 4:30. We've got poster presentations happening in the Lewis Field House. So imagine walking in and seeing just 68 posters lined up. That's the number this year. And you can just go through the rows and talk with the students about their project, ask them your questions, right? Read the work that's been done. That's always a good time. And I will point out for concurrent and poster sessions, we're really upping the celebration component this year. So we're giving out a lot of raffle prizes.
Oh, great.
So if you want to win a water bottle, a cooler, a t-shirt, you should definitely show up and take a raffle ticket
That
and,
is really great.
and
So
win
you
a prize.
come, you're like come to watch, you come to learn, look at a poster, you
Yes.
get a raffle ticket.
Right. Wait
and
for your
then
name to
there's
be
a raffle
announced.
later in the day
Oh,
at
yeah.
the award ceremony.
Well, we'll do it actually at the end of every session,
Oh,
which
okay,
will be
cool.
nice.
Well,
So
that's
you'll
even
know
better.
before the session ends if
That's
you're a
great.
winner to
That's
trade
great.
in your tickets. So
Yeah, I really do feel like there's a buzz. You know, I mean, if you've never been to it, especially if you're a first-year student, or even if you're a new faculty who really isn't, you know,
Oh,
you
yes.
haven't gotten involved. I think for new faculty, and I would say even, you know, I don't want to overstate this, but tell your boss, like if you work here and you work in Office of Technology or you work in payroll or whatever, you know, take an hour and go see, because
Absolutely.
you as an colleague, you actually support this mission, and part of this mission is the amazing stuff. And I think sometimes some of our employees don't actually realize the amazing work that our students do. And sitting in for an hour, take an hour out of your day and just tell your boss, I'm going to go do something important, which is true. Go and listen to our students because the stuff they're presenting is amazing.
oh, certainly.
I mean, there's so much to talk about. So I'm thinking still about the schedule and
Yeah.
what
Yes.
people might see. So you said it's like a conference of all disciplines.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just want to point out how powerful and true that is. So for, you know, and every week we announce, you know, I just announced people or going to conferences earlier today. Every week we talk about that. And but some people, students and parents and so on, may not know like what an academic conference is exactly like to go to one. And so if you go to an academic conference in math or history or engineering or what have you, there's usually a poster session where professors in their discipline are sharing their research and their, you know, their new research, their dissertation research, what have you, in that format of a poster and kind of talking through it with people who are at the conference. There's other conferences that focus on like panel presentations where there'll be 3 people with a moderator on a topic about literature or about, you know, a particular theme in any discipline really. And so that's what's going on in the academic science building, where a bunch of like in 4 separate rooms there'll be people, students orally sharing their research.
Right.
And then, you know, and they need audiences to watch and ask questions and
Certainly.
learn, and not only learn, but also help them. So I guess what I'm trying to emphasize, and tell me if I'm right or how you think about this, is that they're practicing the profession of being a scholar or a researcher or a scientist, and they're doing what professionals do in this field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have all of those different types that you just mentioned. So you'll see there'll be an electronic program available on the day of celebration of scholarship, just on our website, lewiscu.edu/COS. And that will have the detailed events. So if you have a session of 3 talks that you say, oh, these are chemistry talks. I'm a chemist. Maybe I want to go see what these students are doing. You pick a session, you show up, and you get to watch 3 different speakers at a time, and you get the opportunity to ask questions. And I will say for the students, it's a very long process for the students. So all the students that are presenting on these days submitted their applications back in February. They had to work with their advisor to create an abstract, which is the way the scientific community can summarize their research and present what they're about to talk about. And the students have prepared a lot for this presentation. They'll do practice talks with their faculty mentor. And so I think a lot of work goes on behind the scenes, and we have this one day, but people don't realize that the planning has been happening all the way back in August, or even in the summer where the student was actually doing some of the scholarship that they then present as celebration of scholarship.
Yes. So I'd love, and I think both of you can speak to this because you already mentioned this academic conference, and I think a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
But I want to go to, so what is the process of research? I mean, and I guess I want to step up a level and say, how does research impact society? So part of it is practicing the discipline of, I guess what I would call sharing information, right? That is but how does that build on itself, right? Because I think there's some people don't understand how, like, do you have to do this every year? Like, but I think research is always ongoing. And how does this back and forth, why do we have academic conferences as part of, what does it do for disciplines, right? So maybe you could talk about, this is a multidisciplinary conference, to your point, but just to say, like, what does this do for society and for the discipline? So I guess the bigger, why do we do this?
I can start.
Yeah.
So research specific, I would say that it kind of propels the questions that are being answered in the field. So when I go to a conference and give a talk, I'm usually giving a talk to other people that are thinking about similar problems in mathematics. And so not only do I share their information with them, at the end, they're actually coming to me with, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Oh, I did something that relates to what you did. And suddenly a collaboration develops and a new project idea comes apart and we can kind of propel the field more. I would say for Celebration of Scholarship more locally, faculty should certainly come and see what scholarly work is being presented because they can be inspired. Hey, I could do this with my student. And a lot of faculty don't realize it's not just original research that's presented at Celebration of Scholarship, right? We open this up to any type of comprehensive scholarly work by a student. And so a lot of faculty say, hey, we do class projects at the end of so-and-so class that I teach every year. Why don't I have my students present at Celebration of Scholarship to give them that research experience?
But even in those examples, they're really doing research in the sense of the way you just described it, where they're producing new ideas that had never existed before and sharing them with their colleagues. And so for society, it's how we get, it's how everything new that happens in thinking, industry, advancements that, think of any advancement that you can imagine, including AI, if you want to talk about it.
No, well, I don't. I'd love to talk about any of those
I'm just
things,
kidding.
right?
Was created by
Exactly.
a professor at a university
Right.
coming up with an idea or building on an idea of many colleagues and coming up with the next step in a process.
Yeah, and that's where I was hoping we'd go. I think we don't talk about enough, I think. I mean, you and I talk every week on this show about the amazing research that our faculty are doing and some of the stuff. But I think the point you just made is so crucial for our audience to hear, is that society, everything, this iPad that I have in front of me, right? This iPhone, at some point glasses were done by research, right? It might have been 5 centuries ago, but at some point some researcher said, if we grind this lens, it's going to change. And imagine what that discovery was for all of us. Like humanity at some point, like I'd be basically blind, right? And then all of a sudden, at some point, we came up with this technology, but it was through research and then refinement and that conversation. Well, you did the lens this way. What if we did it this way? Then somebody came up with contact lenses. Now we take cataracts out of people's eyes, right? All that stuff that we, quote unquote, take for granted is done in this iterative way, little by little by little. And what we're teaching students is the process, right?
Yeah.
It's not so much that they're making this great discovery. It's that they're building the muscle of how to do research, and then they can go out into the field and continue to do it. And I think that's really an incredible part, but it's just a great day.
And just to round it out, there's also art and business as part.
yes.
Not the exact same spirit of what we've just been talking about is applicable to those disciplines as well. So it's really exciting to see all the different, all these different disciplines really on display at their best.
How do the artists and business people participate? What does that look like?
Right, so we have, the art gallery will be open all day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., featuring the works of the finalists for the President's Art Show that happens every year. Winners will be announced at our award ceremony, I believe, this year. But their work is on display. There's a gallery talk from 2 to 3 p.m. in the Black Box Theater where we get to hear from the student artist about their work. Let's see what else. We have a business competition. We've got 20 business pitches that will be fighting it out for the top finishers, where students win money as their awards. Up here we got all of the award categories, so you don't have to be a business pitch competitor or President Art Show competitor to win a prize. We've got lots of great prizes. I think we gave out 18 last year, and we're going to give out even more this year. So along with these prizes, first, second, and third place in these different categories, we added a People's Choice Award this year. Another reason for you to come to Celebration of Scholarship, support your friends. We're going to have a place where students can cast votes for their favorite poster or their favorite concurrent session talk, and we can see, it'll be interesting to see how the People's Choice, finalists line up with the judges finalists. We have faculty and staff, volunteers who have graciously agreed to come judge the different talks and the different posters, which is, we still need some more volunteers. So if you haven't volunteered yet, please send me an email, but we've got 38 volunteers right now, and Matt, D'Amico, and I are the co-chairs of Celebration of Scholarship, but we have 18 faculty and staff members as part of our committee, and we're working year-round. So it's a huge effort, but every year it's worth it, and I just hope that everyone can benefit. So you should definitely come on out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we talk about maybe another, I almost think of this as the other half of the conversation about why people do research, is another thing that's really being displayed at Celebration of Scholarship is the presentation skills. So as professionals, scholars and researchers have to, or artists or business people, they have to be able to communicate to people who are, they communicate to their colleagues in some cases, or their peers in the industry, but they also have to communicate to people who don't understand science as well as they do, or people who maybe are not professionals in the area but more are going to make decisions. They might be communicating to government officials, or they might be writing a grant for an audience that doesn't necessarily technically understand things. And so I feel like that there's a lot of that happening here in the way that it's presented.
Yes.
And maybe the 3M and the STEM Slam are some examples of that.
Yeah, and those two events now that you mentioned are actually new this year. So it's the first time hosting the STEM Slam competition. That's also unique in the fact that it's interdisciplinary. So you have a design student working with STEM students to come up with a way to present science research to an audience that isn't necessarily familiar with all the very specific science knowledge of their research. So that will be on display in the Black Box Theater, which is a great collaboration. And I like what you said too. Often that's even more important if you're looking to make a change in the world, some policy change or some new invention. You have to be able to explain your research to people that then can take that and do something with it.
Well, and I think it's so practical. I mean, I love that you raised this, Chris, because I think it's so practical in this sense. If somebody decides that they want to go on to graduate school, it's really valuable to be able to go meet. Sometimes you apply, but then sometimes you have to interview. Sometimes you're interviewing for a GA, and to be able to articulate kind of what you care about in research in a short, very clear, succinct way when you're meeting with a professor who's got limited time at Michigan State or Notre Dame or wherever. That's really valuable. But it's also really valuable when you interview. If you decide not to go become a graduate student and you want to get a job, being able to articulate clearly and succinctly why you're a good fit for this organization is also incredibly valuable. So it covers a lot.
It does.
That we're, and these are skills. I mean, I hear this all the time from alumni, and we have people who give a lot of money to support our students, but they, if there's a worry among donors to, I think all universities, Lewis, are students really learning how to communicate? And do they know how to write well? And oftentimes they don't care about a 10-page, they want to, can they write a 1 or 1.5 page succinct memo for our organization? Can they sit in a room with a client and make a pitch, explain something? All those skills, communication skills, are so important, and this really helps them to hone those skills. I did want to make a quick point, and then I want to get back to your things. So when the awards were up there, Chris and I, last weekend, whenever we were at the President's Circle, Dr. Stephanie Schlachter, the highest award at this event for undergraduate research, she was there at this event, and I haven't seen her in, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, but she hasn't been on campus for 3 years. So I invited her. I said, you should come, because somebody's going to get your award, and they're going to, and it's, there's a significant money associated with the Stephanie Schlachter Award, because we have an endowment fund that funds that. And anyway, So it's really exciting, and I'm hoping that she's going to be able to show up, which I think would be a great, addition to be able to, like, just you or Matt are saying, and there's Dr. Schlachter, you just got her
Yeah.
award, but in her name.
And we usually try to connect her with the winner, and
Yes, afterwards, right.
At some point, we will definitely do that if she's not there that day.
Yeah, that would be great because the Schlachter finalists are actually already chosen. And we're, this year also new, we're putting them together in one session. So you'll hear the 4 Schlachter finalists give their talks in
That's
one
awesome.
concurrent session back to back, which really highlights the different disciplinary research as well.
So maybe you can, I mean, I'm now doing stuff
Yeah.
that I don't need to do, but offline, maybe
Yes.
you could, or Chris, you could send a note to Stephanie and say, this time, because she was going to come in the evening for the presentation, for the awarding.
the actual,
Yeah.
But
it'd
I
be good
think
for
her
her to know
coming
that,
for those
yeah.
4
Yeah.
would be really awesome for her to
I
kind of
agree.
see that and be present at it. So anyway.
we'll do that. Yeah.
So I think we've maybe covered all the new stuff, but is there anything we didn't
Yeah.
talk about that's new?
The only other new thing I can think about is I did want to remind everyone of the 3-minute thesis competition. We're having that as our kickoff event, so nothing else is happening. We encourage a lot of people to come. Graduate students will be presenting their thesis work, so you'll get kind of a higher level of research being presented. The other thing is in our reception this year, it's 4:30 to 5:30, so we've extended it to an hour. And we are recruiting alumni to come back to Lewis to speak with the students about how they're using scholarship in their current career. Right, so we're thinking that this would be a good opportunity for students to socialize with these alumni because the students that are invited to the reception are ones that have participated in Celebration of Scholarship. Also, if you attend Celebration of Scholarship, you can still come to the reception. It's really open for everybody, faculty, staff, and volunteers.
Where is that?
It's in the field
Place-wise?
house, Court
okay.
2. We're going to have a bunch of tables, lots of great food, and it's going to end with a half-an-hour award ceremony where we'll announce all the winners throughout the day. So that's the other thing I wanted to advertise.
That's awesome.
It's really exciting. I love this day.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have
fun.
so much work that goes into it. I just
Yeah.
get to show up. This is the work that I do for Celebration right here,
Yeah.
right now. This 45 minutes is what I do.
Yeah.
But you've done a whole year of planning and preparation. And, we, of course, want to say thanks to the 18 faculty you recommended, all the people who will be evaluating,
Oh, yeah.
of course, all the faculty and staff who help students prepare for
Yes.
this, and of course, you and Matt. We're really grateful for your leadership.
Yeah. Thank you so
Thank-
much, and thanks for being with us
Of course,
today.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. This is
Yeah.
great.
Very good. So a couple quick things as we wrap up the show today. We will be off for next week because there are no classes because of Easter. And then the following week, we will also not have our show because of Celebration of Scholarship. So we will be running around campus to all these different events, and so we can't come back over and do the show. And we will be back for our next show on April 20th. I just want to, again, wish everyone that's watching and all those who will watch in future days and weeks blessings on you and your family. Have a great rest of the week.